welcome to the show! I'm Wolfie Bane, your host for today, and we are back doing another Pokemon, not type tier list, just Pokemon tier list today. Howdy, have a fantastic day, fantastic time, fantastic evening, and a fantastic life right now. Everybody, I'm back, I'm here, and I'm ready to play or talk about some video games. Hey, hope you're all having a lovely, lovely time and a wonderful day. I've been having a okay one. I'll call it okay. It's been kind of just average, but considering I was quite ill over the weekend, I'll take it, you know? I'm getting better. I'm on the mend of, it was nothing too serious, just a few general purpose problems that have made it just very annoying over the past couple of days. I didn't get to go and watch Overlord at the cinema. That was going to be my plan. Over the weekend. It was one of the things I was planning was to go and watch the new Overlord movie at the cinema, and being ill basically meant, well, I couldn't do that. So, bleh. But I'm sure I'll be able to catch it at some point. And it should be a damn good time. I have heard almost nothing about it. I also haven't gotten around to watching Arcane because I found out that I'm assuming, I think there's like 10 episodes usually. So, and only the first 3 episodes I think they've put out. So I'm going to wait for all of them to come out and then binge it. Like I did with season 1. And I'm super, super hype. I'm really looking forward to it. I loved season 1 of Arcane. Hell, when it came to League of Legends, the world, which I still will repeatedly say that the world is awesome for League of Legends. The worst thing about League of Legends is the game. Genuinely. Everything else about the world, about the like stories and the universe and stuff, is really fucking cool. But the game sucks. So yeah. That is the thing, and I'm looking forward to them doing more shit in that world. So I'm very excited, and also back when I did play League of Legends, in the ancient before times when I was very young, my favourite character was Vi. I remember when Vi came out. She was my main character not long after she came out, because I really liked her. And yeah, she's awesome in Arcane. So I'm very excited, but I'm waiting on watching it for all the episodes to come out, essentially. Which, yay, I'm super excited. But I did get around to watching, I literally watched it all last night. It was a really weird anime that came out, I believe, this year. It was called Chained Soldier. I had heard nothing about it. I just went, sure, why not? Let's watch it. It was a thing. It was a thing. I enjoyed it. I'd say it's better than it has any right to be. It's one of those animes. I think it's also getting to season 2 at some point, which is bizarre to me. But sure, fuck it, why not? It was entertaining. That's all I can really say about it. It was entertaining. It was an interesting concept for a world as well. I didn't mind the world concept. But yeah, it was very, very weird. But I liked it. My favourite character was... oh, what was her name? There's one of the characters is a blonde girl who basically has the power to like change how big she is, so she can go either really, really tiny or gigantic, and she's pretty cool. I like that character. But yeah, that was my weekend. Not a lot done, and just cooking in general. You know, food is fun. So, a couple of announcements to make before we get to properly stuck in. Remember everybody, tomorrow, which will be the 12th of November, 2024, I am GMing a one-shot with Nixinax, Dragon Bob, and Davey as players. It should be a good laugh. They made characters last week, which is now up on my YouTube, if you want to go check it out. Or there's the stream VoD is still up for a couple of days on my Twitch as well, in case you guys want to check that out. It was a absolute blast, and you'll get to see what characters they're playing. It'll be a fun time. We're playing Dark Heresy 2nd Edition, which is a great system, and I really, really like it. So do tune into that tomorrow. Tomorrow, 6 PM UK time, until I don't really know what time. We've got like a fairly harsh cut-off time at about 10. So it's definitely happening tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. If we've managed to finish the entire one-shot in 1 week, sweet. Then sorted. If not, I'll run it next week as well. But currently, the plan is to do it all tomorrow. And it should be a damn good time. I am very, very excited to show off what they've got and to horrify the players, to be honest. That's kind of what I do, right? I am called the evil GM for a reason, you know? And it should be a very fun time. But anyway, let's get into the Pokemon tier list. So, as anybody should know, my tier videos, basically, I have S tier, which is the best of the best of the best. A tier, which is very, very good. B tier, which is great. Like, solid, absolutely good. C is my average bar. D is I don't like it, basically. And none of the G-Max Pokemon really have made enough of an impression on me for me to put them anything less than a D. I don't think any of them are particularly that offensive. There are some which I don't like, I will say. There are definitely a couple of D tiers on the Gigantimax list. But most of them, they're just fine, you know? I will say I haven't actually played Sword and Shield. So this is the only mechanic that I have had no interaction with. I have not played in any of the metagames on Showdown that Gigantimax is allowed, because Gigamax is banned in most formats because it's kind of broken. So, yeah, I haven't actually played any Gigantimax stuff. I am planning at some point, after a bunch of stuff has happened, basically, after I get my new computer and stuff, I am planning on getting Pokemon Sword, and doing a playthrough, probably on stream. Maybe not on stream, but probably on stream, you know? Just to see how that goes. And it should be a damn good time. But, for now, I haven't actually had any interaction, so I haven't got the strongest opinion on most of the G-Maxes. But I do think a lot of the G-Maxes are cool. I'm a massive Kaiju fan in general. So, that does it for me. And some of them are quite clever in how they're made. I do genuinely like a lot of them. So, I can't really give the biggest view on power outside of what I have heard. Essentially, for Pokemon. I have heard that some Gigantamaxes are insanely good. But I've not massively heard loads of them, and I don't really know what their moves are in most cases. So, yeah. Yeah, we'll go with I am not 100% sure. But I know some of them are really cool, and I want to talk about. And some of them are goofy. So mostly this is going to be almost exclusively on vibes. A couple of these I have used a little bit in one case. I have used a few of the G-Max Pokemon in Pokemon Rogue. In specifically Poké Rogue. But in Poké Rogue, the G-Maxes kind of work more like Megas. So it's a bit different. I will also go another bit. These Pokemon are all very, very cool in their own right. But yeah. Oh yeah, that was the thing. That was what I was gonna say. I lost track of what I was gonna say. So the point of this is, to my understanding of Gigantamax, or what Dynamaxes in general. So Dynamax is your Pokemon turns into a Kaiju for, I believe, 3 turns. You get super, super, super versions of your standard moves, right? Which do crazy things. They're brought up to like 140 something power or higher. So they're very powerful moves in their own right. Because like, and they are based on what type of move it is. So say you've got Charizard has Solar Beam. Your Charizard gets I think it's called Max Overgrowth, I believe is the name of the grass move. And that's basically, and it's a souped up version which does something. I believe Max Overgrowth might put down Leech Seed or stop grass. I think it starts up grassy terrain actually. And they all do something insane like that. No, I know it's Max Rockfall is one I do know. It's the giant rock move. That one sets up a Sandstorm. I know Max Airflow sets up like a speed boost to your Pokemon. To all your Pokemon, it's kind of like mini Tailwind. That kind of shit, right? So they're all really, really good moves. They also punch straight through Protect. They don't go through Mega Protect, which is basically, there's like a Max Protect move, which basically just stops anything. It's like a giant force field wall. Because, you know, and I believe that's what every non-damaging move turns to. It's just as Max Guard, or whatever the hell it's called. So, very, very cool. And yeah, as I said, every single Pokemon that is Dynamaxed or Gigantamaxed gets 3 times their health bar. Their health bar just massively amps for those number of turns. So it makes whatever Pokemon you've got quite tanky. Even some of like the not particularly tanky Pokemon get pretty sturdy. So yeah. Now for Gigantamax, what Gigantamax specifically does is it takes the Pokemon, which is already big supercharged Pokemon, and certain ones will have, I think it's called the G-Max factor, which only certain Pokemon can get, and those Pokemon, instead of just turning into a big version of the Pokemon, they turn into a gigantic custom form of the Pokemon, which gives them a unique move. Like I believe Gigantamax Butterfree gets Max Flutterby, which is a unique version of whatever the normal move would be. I can't remember the name of the Charizard one, but it's like Max Hellfire or something like that, which is like a super, super, super move. And they are usually even better than normal Gigantamax moves. Right? That's basically the premise. For anybody who doesn't know. This is to my basic knowledge, by the way. So, it is a thing. So, now that we've got that as the premise set, let's go in with, for opening, Venusaur. Oh yeah, also the tiers, basically, I went S. I didn't really have much noteworthy stuff. I just was thinking, like, larger than life was kind of what I was thinking. So, S tier, I went Super! Which, if anyone who knows One Piece, that's where the reference comes from. Yes, it is from Frankie with One Piece, because he's the giant mech guy, right? A is Almighty. Mostly comes from just general bigness, right? B is Big. How can I resist, right? I am a VTuber fan. I'm a big Hololive fan as well, so couldn't resist. C, I just put cool. I couldn't think of anything anything good for C, honestly. So it's cool. And D is Doug. Now, this is a really weird one, but if anybody knows Titanus Doug from the Monsterverse, so literally the Godzilla movies, the giant lizard, which is in Godzilla vs. Kong, the big, like, lizards in the Hollow Earth, they're called Doug. They got nicknamed Doug, and I just went, well, I can't not just go with Doug, right? Doug is great. Maybe he got his own comic as well. He got his own comic where he's just a silly little guy. Despite being gigantic, by the way, but... it is all around pretty funny. But yeah, Venusaur. Now, G-Max Venusaur, I think... it's okay. I think what they were doing, they basically wanted to make it bigger and bigger. Right? So they kind of, like, maxed out the flower to see how it looked. And I think it looks... it's okay. I've never been the biggest fan of either Gigantamax or Mega Venusaur. Right? Let's just put that. I think Venusaur itself is a fine design. I think it's pretty good. The giant frog with, like, the palm tree and stuff. It works, right? But I think that the Mega and the G-Max, it kind of loses a bit. Right? It's adding more, but the design was pretty much, like, on point as it was. It didn't really need anything else, and adding extra just kind of changes the design for, I think, the negative. So I think normal Venusaur looks better than G-Max Venusaur. And I know what its move is. I know what all these three, the Kanto starters, I know what their G-Max move does. Basically, it's a supercharged move of their type that effectively will damage the entire enemy team in the back. Like, it literally puts a super dot on the entire enemy team for a few turns. That deals a shitload of damage. So basically, they hit the Pokemon out on the field, and every Pokemon, even the Pokemon that are still in the Pokeballs, will be taking a chunk of damage. Which is scary. I believe that's how they work. And all three of them work like that. Because it was Charizard's ability originally. So they just made the other two have the same one because they didn't really want to change it. And they're all good. I believe that these three are pretty good, but I think that, I don't think that Venusaur or Blastoise were particularly, like, used. Because they have the same ability, but they don't kind of work the same way, because they're already sturdy Pokemon. And the point for G-Max is it can turn a frail Pokemon, like something that's quite squishy, into a tank. So it can dish out the shit ton of damage, and it can actually take a couple of hits. So, you don't really need that for Venusaur. It's built to be a tank. I don't really see it being used that much. It's fine. I mean, I don't know if it got used at all. I have no idea. Again, I've never done competitive with these things. But I'm sure it's fine. It's just not for me, right? So, Venusaur, you're getting C tier for your G-Max. I don't think your G-Max is anything particularly interesting. For vibes, right? Remember, it is vibes. You all know Charizard is one of my favorite Pokemon, right? He is. Everybody knows he is. He's one of my top three. Joint first place. He's my favorite starter. I love him. And I personally think that when they came to Gigantamax Charizard, they cooked. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it should have been the ace Pokemon of the champion of the game. But I'm gonna be honest. I do wish he had his own different ace. But, hey, they wanted to do it for the anime. They wanted to put the two big mascots of Pokemon against each other because it was literally Pikachu against Charizard in the final match. That's my understanding. They wanted to have it a big showdown between the two icons of Pokemon, right? So you can't really fault them for that. But G-Max Charizard is sick. It's such a cool design for a Pokemon. Charizard is already great. He's already peak design, right? Big, orange, just classic, cool dragon look with a flaming tail. It looks great. G-Max Charizard cranks it up. It's gigantic, kaiju-sized dragon. Fire coming out of its jaws. Fire from its horns. Massive burning wings. It looks gorgeous. The color scheme, like, there's slight edits to the color scheme to make it, like, a bit darker and red. Because basically every G-Max, as you can see on this list, has, like, a slight reddish tinge to it. And it just looks so good with Charizard. Because I always think the orange mixed with red, it gets the proper, like, Hellfire dragon look. And I think it looks perfect. I genuinely love it. I think it's one of the best Mega G-Max designs. I absolutely adore this thing. This is my vote for #1 because, but I'm very biased because I love Charizard. But it's obviously S tier because I genuinely think it is a good design as well. They did the assignment of, they made Charizard into Kaiju. And they nailed it. They genuinely did. It looks beautiful in-game. Because I've seen playthroughs, obviously, of Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I know what he looks like. He looks gorgeous. It's great. I just love it. I can't say how much. They really, really cooked with that one. Now, Blastoise. I'm going to be honest. I think they cooked with Blastoise as well. I know a lot of people hate this G-Max, right? So many people I know really, really hate on this particular G-Max. I think this G-Max is cool. They were like the battleship design on its back. It looks like a freaking ironclad on the back of the tortoise shell. I do say, I think they could have gone a different way, and it would have kind of worked, right? But with what they did, like, people are going, oh, it's dumb, it can't see, like, the whole lore about it, you can't see where it's shooting and all that stuff. It's like, and they went for a battleship design for it. I do kind of wish they went more Gamera vibes with it. Because they went kind of Godzilla-y vibes with Charizard, and they didn't go Gamera vibes with Blastoise, which I was going, I kind of like that, but I think they really, really cooked with it, and I think it's a very interesting and great design. It's not getting S tier for me, but I genuinely like it. I really like G-Max Blastoise. I think it's a better design than Mega Blastoise and regular Blastoise. I think they cooked with that one. So, Blastoise, yeah, you get A tier. G-Max Blastoise, I think, is a great design, genuinely. And I think people rag on this Pokemon design for no genuinely good reason. I don't care that it's not very good. I really like this mod. I really like this version of the mod. I think it's really cool. I don't know. Like, some artillery barrier. Also, I think the glowing eyes. I think the glowing eyes really, really work for it. Because I believe Charizard and Blastoise both have, like, glowing eyes, different color. I believe Charizard's glow red or gold or something like that. whereas Blastoise glows like blue. I think they're both sick. I think they're great designs. So, yeah. Well earned. Gigantimax Butterfree, it's Mothra. Oh, they cooked. They did such a good job. Like, it's a simple change, right? It's a very simple change. Butterfree, they had to go the Mothra route. It's classic. It's, I adore Mothra. I'm a big Godzilla fan, as everyone can probably guess. By the way, I just want to point out the fact that they didn't make a Gigantimax Tyranitar is a travesty. It's literally Godzilla, the Pokemon, and they didn't make a G-Max. Oh, damn shame. I really wish it had a G-Max. I don't think they made any Gen 2 G-Maxes, actually, did they? No, they didn't. I think that Tyranitar would have been a sick Gigantimax Pokemon. And if they ever bring Gigantimax back, I really do hope they make a Gigantamax Tyranitar and Gigantamax Baxcalibur, because obviously it's Godzilla and Gigan. Like, it's classes. And Hydreigon as well. There's just a lot they didn't make G-Maxes for, which is very unfortunate, because I think that the G-Max designs are very cool. And particularly the Kaiju Pokemon, I think would have been great. So, yeah. But yeah, G-Max Butterfree, I love it. It's a simple design, but it's one of those, like, beautiful simplicity. It is an A tier. It's a comfy A tier for me. It's a great look. Okay, G-Max Pikachu, or Chonkachu, as I've heard it called. It's fine. I'm not, like, completely sold on it. Obviously, it had to have one. Right? It had to have one. It's the whole bit. And obviously, I believe it gets one in the anime. Is the main. I believe most of the G-Max Pokemon were in the anime. I think is a lot of it. So. So naturally, of course, they could have something cool. For reference, by the way, I am really sad that, from my understanding, I think it's the first 2 or 3 gym leaders don't have G-Max Pokemon. Like, not every gym leader gets a G-Max Pokemon. In one case, I really like it. The Dark Gym, which I think is the first Dark Gym in Pokemon, by the way. Which I think is pretty funny. They literally took 8 generations for them to get a Dark-type gym, and I think he's the only Dark-type gym. He's one of the best. Marnie is a sick rival, and her brother, who I believe is the gym leader, is an awesome gym leader. He's really cool. Because he just doesn't like using G-Max, which is... It's a vibe, right? It takes away the thing, and it makes an interesting battle. But, with G-Max Pikachu, it's a cool design. So... But I'm not really sold. Like, I do like Pikachu, don't get me wrong. I talked about it. It's like, it's a classic, right? But I'm not really sold. Sure, it's neat, I guess, but I'm not completely sold. G-Max Meowth is silly, which I approve of the vibe. I don't really usually like goofy. I am not a goofy... I'm not a guy that goes for the goofy option a lot. I like cool and I like cute. When it comes to the vibes I tend to really like something that's really cool, like objectively just a very cool design, or something that's adorable. I will take silly if it kind of fits into that kind of vibe. The G-Max Meowth, it kind of sits in the kind of like silly vibe, but in a good way. I generally think it works. I find it very easy to go too bad on the goofy, and I'm not really a huge fan of that. This one I think is just the right amount. It's classically silly. Not too over the top silly. It's just long cat, and it's fun, right? I have no idea if it shows up in the anime. I can only assume it does because it's Meowth, right? Because there's Jesse and James as Meowth, the talking one in the Pokemon anime. So I'm assuming he gets G-Max at some point by something, and yeah, cool idea. What I just realized? Yeah, this list doesn't actually have a Turnitus on it, which I just realized now. I guess it's Turnamax. It's not usable Pokemon. But, yeah. G-Max Machamp. I'm actually kind of happy that Machamp got some love, because it is a objectively very cool Pokemon. It was my favourite of the original fighting types. Through Gen 1, right? Not that that's saying much, because I'm not a huge fan of a lot of them. And I've still not particularly used a Machamp. But it is a cool mod, and I do like it. And I genuinely think that G-Max Machamp looks sick. as a design. I love it. I love the, like, giant molten fists where it... I kind of wish it was a different Pokemon, though, for the G-Max. Like, don't get me wrong. I like Machamp. I kind of wish that the ace Pokemon of the gym leader was something that was a bit different. But I believe what they were doing was, they were basically making a lot of Gen 1 Pokemon that were G-Maxed and a lot of Gen 8 Pokemon that are G-Maxed. Because I think there's... outside Gen 1 and Gen 8, there's like 2? If that. Because Gen 1 is most of the... yeah. I don't know about Melmetal. Melmetal might be Gen 7. I'm not sure. I think it's Gen 8. I don't know. It's the Pokemon Go Pokemon, and I barely played Go. I played it a little bit, but I barely played it. But most of the G-Max Pokemon are the classic nostalgia Pokemon that you'd expect, which are Gen 1, and a lot of the new guys in Gen 8, which is fair. I do actually like that they decided to do it for Gen 8 Pokemon, though. That is sick. They missed out on that chance with Megas. They didn't make the same mistake again. Because Megas, obviously, there's one Gen 6 Mega Pokemon. Everything else is earlier. So, yeah, not a great one for that. But this case, they did make a lot of Gen 8 Megas, which are G-Maxes, which are very, very cool. But Gigantimax Machamp, I think, is a very cool design. It just is a very nice, big, stompy mon, right? And also, I love it. I believe it gets a belt made out of clouds, like a wrestling champ belt out of clouds, which is pretty cool. I like the molten hands. I've always said, I wish Machamp didn't get a G-Max form, and it gets a different form, like something. Like, I'd love a regional form of Machamp, right? Like, I don't know, a fighting steel type, maybe. Maybe a fighting steel type, give it a bunch of weapons and armor. I think that'd be kind of cool. Or maybe make a Mega. It might get a Mega in Z8. We don't know. But I think Machamp is a cool mon. And I think it would benefit from some fun extra just stuff. Right? And I'd like an alternate form. Like a regional form or a Mega or something. I think they could make something very, very cool with that. So, yeah, I kind of wish, if it doesn't, and because the G-Max is the love it is shown, because obviously they get an alternate form. And yeah, it is cool. Okay, G-Max Gengar. Now, everybody knows I love Gengar. Gengar is an objectively very cool Pokemon. It is one of the solid, you're always happy to get one of these on your team Pokemon. Yeah, I can't think of a single situation where you'd be upset getting a Gengar, right? It's just good. Gengar is just good, and everybody knows it is. So it's a fun mon. I do like it. I vastly prefer the Mega to this, but I do think that the G-Max in a vacuum is decent. But I wouldn't really call it, like, S tier. I wouldn't call it A tier. Gengar, the Pokemon, is great, and I will say, I don't think it needed a G-Max as well. Which I could say a lot. It's got, for reference, Gengar has the same number of forms as Charizard. Everybody rags on Charizard for getting favoritism. Gengar's got the exact same number of... oh, actually, no, it's technically missing one. Gengar didn't get 2 Megas. It only got 1 Mega. But it is as... has every single time there's been a new gimmick, Gengar has also got the gimmick. Just want to point that out. For everyone that bitches about Charizard getting extra forms. But I do really like Gengar. I don't particularly like the G-Max as much. I think it's a very good one. Don't get me wrong. I think it is good. But I think they could have done better. The Void Gate look is pretty funny, though, and I will give them that. But I'm not completely sold. Now, G-Max Kingler. Talk about a Pokemon I never expected to see a G-Max form. But... G-Max Kingler, the beard, they went giant spider crab, they gave it a Santa Claus beard. Peak. It's peak. It's an S tier. It's an immediate S tier, right? I actually quite like Kingler as a Pokemon as well. It's not good. Do not get me wrong. Kingler is not good. You can make it work, but it's not good. It's never been good, Kingler. It's a little too slow. It has no special defense. It's got that problem. It's got very, very high physical attack. It's got the same physical attack as Garchomp, I think. Genuinely, it's one of those 130s, which I say is a good attack stat. Okay abilities. I don't think it's got anything particularly special, but it hits very hard. It has good physical defense. I've actually tried to make Kingler work in a Baton Pass team, I think I did before, which was pretty funny. So yeah, I do really like Kingler, and I think it is very fun as a Mon. Is it good? No, but does it have a very, very cool Gigantimax? I've got no idea, by the way, what this thing does for its move. I've got no idea. I've seen this in the game once in a randomizer. The fact that no gym leader uses this is tragic. Genuinely. It's so sad. I'd have loved if the water gym leader used it. In her first battle, at least. Because I know that she uses Dreadnought as her G-Max in the league. But you fight her before the gym leaders actually get their Gigantamax Pokemon. So you don't actually see the G-Maxes in base, essentially. In the main playthrough of the game. I believe you see them all in the... Like, they've got this tournament post-game thing where you can, like, pick a partner or something. And it's a whole thing. I don't know. I don't pay attention. But yeah, G-Max Kingler is sick. And I will say... The next Mon is also sick. I believe this is the G-Max of the Ice Gym Leader in Shield, who is, let's say, I will say, Shield's, what did I nickname her? Ice Milf, I think I called her. She's pretty, I like her a lot. I like her a lot. She's hot. But I noticed there's actually quite a lot of hot characters in Pokemon Sword and Shield, though. There's what's her name? The redhead professor, I believe, is also Sword and Shield, right? It's fine. Behave, Wolf. But yeah, I think Gigantamax Lapras is an awesome one. Everybody loves Lapras, right? Everybody does, and they made it like a cruise liner. And it's gigantic. It's a good Pokemon. It is one of the Pokemon. It's like, yes, the G-Max form for this is perfect. I absolutely love it. I actually talked about Gigantamax Lapras in terms of just G-Maxes, nothing else. It's probably the biggest upgrade. Like, I love Lapras. I do love Lapras a lot. It's an absolute classic Pokemon. Everybody loves it, right? I say it is one of the top 3 water types from Gen 1. In my personal opinion, at least. I vote it as one of the big 3 from Gen 1's water types. Vaporeon being my personal favourite, Gyarados being my second favourite, and Lapras being third. And they're all fairly close together. The gap changed nowadays, but there's been a lot more water Pokemon added. But I think Lapras is an amazingly good Pokemon and a very fun Pokemon in general. So, I think it very much did deserve the G-Max. I also believe it's technically the strongest G-Max in terms of, I don't know if it's in lore or stuff, but I believe it technically is the winner. There was like a video which was like, what wins if all G-Max Pokemon fight. I think Lapras actually came out on top, which is cool. Excuse me. So yeah, I very, very much like G-Max Lapras. To the point where in Pokemon Sword and Shield, the G-Max Pokemon I probably would use, because, I mean, you gotta have a G-Max Pokemon, right? Or you gotta try to, at least. I'm probably not gonna buy the DLCs, to be fair, so I don't think I can make one a G-Max Lapras, but I am going to use Lapras for my G-Max mod, because you don't get a Charizard until the end of the game. I know I could do surprise trade and stuff, but that's boring, right? So, yeah. I'm going to use a Lapras for my Gigantamax Pokemon, if I can get one for Pokemon Sword and Shield. It'll be my water type as well, which is fun. Aw, I can't say how cute. I can't insist on how cute Gmax Eevee is. I don't even know what its ability does. I just know what it's called. Gigantamax Eevee, the giant king of fluff, is adorably cute. It's unbelievably adorable as a Pokemon. It is so cute. I love it. Its Gmax move is called Gmax Cuddle. That's its unique one. It's great. I love it. It's an S tier immediately. It just is floofed. It's got like the giant fluff armor basically all over it. It's great. Everybody knows I love Eevee. I love every single evolution. They're all amazing. I put every single evolution in S tier. And the Gmaxes are no strangers at all to that. Gmax Eevee is adorable. Like Eevee itself is, but it's so cute. Excuse me. There's another game I actually want to play. I want to get Let's Go Eevee. That is actually a game I want to buy as well. I know it's a very different Pokemon game, but I think he's so cute. I do want to get and play Let's Go Eevee. I could do Let's Go Pikachu as well, but fuck it. I'd rather play. I like Eevee more than Pikachu. I like Eevee a lot more than Pikachu. Okay, Gmax Snorlax. Another one, which I think, very cool. Another Pokemon that, again, yeah, deserved a Gigantamax. It is very awesome. It's a little hillside, which I really like. So it's a giant Snorlax that I live in lore. It's a giant Snorlax that is so old and asleep for so long that an entire like ecosystem grew on it. Which is a classic, like, hell, they've done it in everything, right? There's always the thing of, like, the giant troll that just has slept for generations and, like, a forest has grown on it, right? Like, it thinks that it's a hill or something. There's always that kind of thing. And I think, for Snorlax, yeah, that's sick. I will put J-Max Snorlax as a comfortable A tier. I think it is a awesome, awesome mon. I don't particularly use Snorlax that much, but I do like it a lot. I do not know what its ability is. I think it's Giga Impact or something, but actually the Giga Impact might be its Z move. I don't know. But, very cool. Props to the mod. I do like it. Now, the only non-Gen 1 or Gen 8 Pokemon on this entire list, by the way, Gigantamax Garbodor. Now, I will say, Garbodor itself, not a Pokemon that particularly interests me. I don't think it's bad. A lot of people give it a lot of shit because it's a pile of rubbish, right? Not that inspiring a mod. But I don't think that's the worst idea for a Pokemon ever. There's definitely a lot worse. Bruxish is worse. So I have a bit of a soft spot for Garbodor for that. It's never been a Pokemon particularly used. I believe it's tanky. I think that's how it works, right? I believe it's useful as a tough, sturdy mon. But yeah, I think it's fine as a Pokemon. But I do like its Gmax. So the Gmax for Garbodor, basically, it starts picking up more stuff on it. So it's got like an aeroplane and cars and all that stuff. To me, the reason why I have a bit of a soft spot for this mod, for the Gmax particularly, is it looks like, did anybody have that, oh my god, my voice cracked, that playmat as a child, very small child, which had all the streets and the houses and like the different bits and bobs on it, that you would like drive cars down and all this stuff. Oh, as a little kid, it was, like, nearly every kid I knew had this one playmat, including me, for reference. I had it. I do not know where it was, where it's gone. But if you know, you know, right? If you grew up if you're about my age, which is old at this point, I'm sorry to say, we're old. You probably have seen this playmat even if you didn't own it yourself. And that's always what it reminds me of. It reminds me of one of those really silly little playmats. So, it gets a beat. It gets above Gmax Gengar. I don't mind Gmax Gengar. And I said, I do like it a lot, but other than Gmax Garbodor, I have a bit of a soft spot for it, which does earn it that. Gmax Melmetal, I think that mod looks kind of silly. In a good way, though. Melmetal is a weird Pokemon in general, to me. I know it's crazy strong. I know it's a very, very scary Pokemon. It's got, like, monstrous durability and hits like a freight train and has one of the strongest... I think it might have the strongest steel move with its double iron bash. I think is the strongest steel move for pure damage. So, like, there is that. But... But for me, it's like, is it really that cool? It's cool. It is objectively cool. So I'll give it a C tier. I'm not completely sold on it. Right? I know it's got power. It's fine. Okay, Gmax Rillaboom. I'm gonna burst. People know I actually kind of like Rillaboom. It is probably I think it was said it was my second favorite ape Pokemon. I'm not sold on its Gmax. I never have been. I like that it gets the vines that grow up to hold the drumsticks and stuff. I don't like its Gmax just being a very large drum kit. I'm gonna be honest. I get what they were doing. I don't like it. I think they could have just gone for a King Kong design, and that would have been great. Genuinely. So, unfortunately, Rillaboom, as much as I quite like you as a Pokemon, you're getting a D tier. I don't like your Gmax very much. I just don't. Now, I will say, next one, Gmax Cinderace. By the way, yeah, this video is probably going to be a bit shorter. There's not that many Gmax Pokemon. And I had a lot more to talk about the Megas, because the Gmaxes basically just get big and new move, right? Gmax Cinderace, I actually kind of like. I don't like it enough to put it in S tier. But I do quite like it. I love... This is one that I think it worked, right? To have the object with it become big, rather than it be big itself. Because it kind of has that... It has the look and the vibe of... This is sheer power. And they went for, like, a star kind of look. Like, gigantic ball of fire. Which works. For Cinderace, that one I think works. And the ears do get very long. They get Lopunny-ish, hysterically. So I would call this one an A tier. Probably, I will say, lower than the others. But I do think it is an A tier. And I think that is a fairly set one. Now, I will say, out of the Galarian Gmax modes, out of the Galarian Gmax starters at least, Cinderaces and Inteleons are both very good. I will put them both in A tier. I'm just going to do that right now. Inteleon's Sniper Tower is pretty inspired. I do like that. Its entire, for reference, its tail becomes really big, and it goes and just has the sniper shot on the top with it. It gets like a big water gun. Which, genuinely, I think that is very cool. That is how you do a Gmax. Rillaboom. And these two, I think, are a significant chunk better of a Gmax forms than Rillaboom. Now, I will say, I'm not a huge fan of any of these starters. I kind of like all three of them, but I've said before, I think Galar has one of the weakest lineups for stars. Not the weakest. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I don't think it has the weakest overall. I still genuinely think that Gen 5 has the weakest. What did you miss? All the Kanto Gmaxes so far. And we're starting to get into Galar. I've said before that I think that Galar has one of the weakest starter lineups in terms of, is this a cool Pokemon? Because they're all fine. Yeah, Megalith was last week. It just went up on YouTube on... it just went up on YouTube today, actually. The Megas were a lot. The Megalith was a lot of fun. But yeah, I've said before, I don't think that the Galar starters are that interesting. but yeah, there are way better starter lineups. I think that most gens have a better all-round. I will definitely say that all of Galar's are average in terms of how cool they are. They're all average. But none of them are bad. Right? And that's the thing it's got going for it. I think Gen 5, and there are a lot of starters which I think are significantly worse. Doug! Titanus Doug from Monsterverse. Have you not heard of Doug? Look at him. Tragic. It's very silly. Don't worry about it. Oh, that is Gigantimax Rillaboom. It gets a giant drum kit. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's fine. I wish they'd have gone like King Kong with it, and I think that would have been a lot better. But yes, so we have, yeah, as I say, there are starters that are significantly worse than any of the Galar starters, but I'd say that overall for starter lineup, Galar is the second worst. Because it doesn't have any standout players. Like every other starter gen has at least one that you go, that's a sick mon. That is a really cool design for a mod. A lot of gens have multiple. Like look at Paldea. Paldea has two of the best starters ever made. And then Quaquaval, which is the worst starter ever made for vibes. So yeah, kind of losers out there. But Galar, they're all consistently mid. They are nothing special. Which to be honest, I've think this. Galar is the most likely gen I have got to get rid of my starter Pokemon of all of them. With the exception of Gen 5, because Gen 5, you already get rid of your starter Pokemon as soon as you get any other Pokemon, because the Gen 5 starters suck. For reference, Superior is good, not as a starter Pokemon. If you get its hidden ability, it's great. Starters never get their hidden ability, so terrible Pokemon. Emboar, I've come around a bit to Emboar. It's still bad, and there's a lot better. Like, nearly any starter Pokemon is better. If any starter fire type is definitely better, but it's not good. And Samurott is so bad, they literally made a very cool version later, but regular Samurott is garbage. Hisuian Samurott, amazing, one of the coolest water starters. But regular Samurott sucks. So yeah. Yeah, then regular Samurott, I honestly, I get that. But I think Quaquaval is terrible in design-wise. Really powerful Pokemon, shit design. And it's up against two of the best starters they've ever made, genuinely. It's hard to really make any, it's really hard to make any case for using Quaquaval when Skeledirge and Meowscarada are the other options, right? You can't make an argument there. It's like, cool, you can have this really mediocre water duck, or Day of the Dead crocodile, or cat wizard. Oh, Poplio. Poplio is terrible, but Primarina is amazing. So, Poplio gets a free pass for me because its final evolution is so good. Poplio, I do think, is the worst base form of any starter, but Primarina makes up for it. As it, all the Alola starters slap. Anyway, let's go on to another one of my favourites, but not for its G-Max form. I'm sorry, Corviknight. I do love Corviknight so much. People know I do. I hate Chimchar. People know I hate Chimchar. But Gen 4 has Torterra, so it makes up for it. And Empoleon. Like, Gen 4 has two really, really good ones, and one of my least favourites. But I also know that's my personal distaste for the Pokemon. Rather than actually being bad. Yeah, Corviknight, I love Corviknight. Everybody knows I love Corviknight. It slaps. It's an awesome Pokemon. Its G-Max is only okay, though. Mostly because it's really hard to improve on Corviknight. Because Corviknight is one of the best designs they've ever made for Pokemon. Genuinely. If you were to say, what Pokemon do you think of when you think Galar? Like, Gen 8. Which Pokemon is the Pokemon? Exactly. which Pokemon comes out. Also, I will say about Infernape, just off topic onto the chat point of view for reference. Anybody watching this later, Infernape is kind of the opposite of Superior. It's very good as a starter Pokemon, particularly in its region. It is literally the best pick in its region because there is only one other fire type in the region before the post game. And it's built for a starter Pokemon. It's got a mediocre hidden ability. It's Iron Fist. You can make it work. You can't. It's okay. But it's got very good stats for a starter Pokemon. It's got good speed, good attack, good special attack. It's nothing special, but it is built correctly for what a starter Pokemon should be. I just don't like monkeys. And also, they literally... Gen 4, the main problem with Gen 4 is its lack of good fire types, genuinely. Infernape is objectively the best pick because the region is very weak to fire types. It's the only good fire type you get before post-game. Unless you're playing Platinum, in which case you've got some more options. But, even then, there's not a lot. Whereas Blaziken is a good starter Pokemon, but it's an insane not a starter Pokemon because it gets Speed Boost, which is one of the best abilities in Pokemon. So, yeah. But yeah, Corviknight. Corviknight is probably the Pokemon you think of first when you think Gen 8, right? There's a couple others, like maybe Dragapult's in there for you. Maybe Hatterini or Grimmsnarl. Like, I absolutely get it if either of those two are your pick for Gen 8. But I'd say the vast majority of people would say Corviknight. The best regional bird they've ever made. One of my favorite Pokemon. In my competitive teams, Corviknight is one of my Pokemon of choice. Genuinely, if I would have to say if I were to build a all-comers kind of Pokemon team, right? Just, this is my Pokemon team that I would bring, that I could have any opponent at all, using anything. Staraptor's great. No, there's no props against Staraptor. Staraptor is good. Corviknight is better. Corviknight is objectively just cooler. It's Corviknight. It's awesome. Yeah, it's no Markov of Staraptor or Talonflame, which are both very, very good Pokemon in their own right. But Corviknight is on another level. Staraptor, to be fair, was on another level before they nerfed it. To be honest, Staraptor was broken until they nerfed it. Yeah. But yeah, Corviknight is such a good mon. I have ruined entire teams with Corviknight regularly. People know. People have seen what I do to people with Corviknight. My Corviknight build is very, very scary. And I love the mon. I genuinely do. It is such a cool design. As a G-Max, though, it's only great. I'd put it here. It's a very good G-Max Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it needs a change, honestly. I think it's better and cooler in its base mode. So I'd rather have a different Pokemon to G-Max. But it is a very, very cool Pokemon, and you bet your ass as soon as I play Pokemon Sword, there's going to be a Corviknight on my team. To be honest, Corviknight's probably going to be my starter equivalent in Sword and Shield, because I'm definitely getting rid of my starter for the other Pokemon. Gen 8 has some really, really cool Pokemon in it. And the starters don't even slightly measure up to how cool they are. So Gen 8 was honestly one of the gens, possibly the best gen for Steel types. On average. You could argue Gen 9 as well. But Gen 8 and 9, there's some really good Steel types. Not saying anything against some of my favorite Steel types like Aggron and things from earlier gens, but let's be honest, there are some really, really good Steel types in gens 8 and 9. And Corviknight is leading the charge as one of the best. Exactly, Varoom's a good one as well. I'm thinking Tinkerton from Gen 9. Okay. I keep forgetting the name of this. Is it Orbeetle? Yeah, I think it's Orbeetle. So, I have a weird point about Orbeetle. So, obviously, it's based on a flying saucer, right? Which is cool. Like, it's your classic spaceship design as a ladybird, which I think is very, very cool. But what I can't help but be reminded. So if anybody played back in the day, the a quite bad Spyro game called Spyro Enter the Dragonfly, which I loved. It was a game I played as a kid. I was terrible at it because it was a platformer, so I sucked at it. But I did have it, and I played quite a lot of it. There was, in one of the levels, there was like a cow farming mini game where you had to fight off spaceships trying to steal cows. It was a really weird game, okay? And it always reminded me of the spaceships in that. That's always what Gigantimax Pokemon reminded me of. And it's very funny to me that that is what this Pokemon always reminds me of. But I can't help but do it. So it gets a soft spot B rank for me. I don't think it's a particularly good one. Orbeetle is one of the most forgettable mons. Let's be honest, from Gen 8. Nobody remembers it outside of people, like... I have barely ever seen this Pokemon used. I will put it that way. Including watching playthroughs of Gen 8, I barely see this thing be used. I don't know what it does. I'm pretty sure it's a Psychic type. So about as far as I get. This Pokemon needs some love because I don't know if it does anything. Okay, Dreadnought. The actual Pokemon they went for Gamera. They went Gamera vibes with. So that's why Blastoise still gets a really good rank, even if it didn't go Gamera style, because Dreadnought goes Gamera style. So I do like that. Obviously, Godzilla far superior to Gamera, but if you like Gamera, I get it. Now, Dreadnought. Where do I want to put you? I do like Dreadnought. I like Dreadnought as the Pokemon, to be honest. I kind of want to make this Pokemon work. You definitely can. This thing is actually banned in certain modes, I believe, in singles, because it is crazy strong in a rain team. Right? Because it gets Swift Swim, and it gets Shell Smash. And has good physical attack. What more can I say? It is a very, very scary mon in its own right. It is worthy to be feared. It's got a very basic gimmick, but what you're basically banking on is your opponent doesn't hit you with a grass move first. That's what it's got. It's got the classic problem of a water rock type of it has the quad weakness to grass. But it's not quite as good as the water ground defense combo because of, I don't know if it gets Rapid Spin, actually. I assume so. Against a turtle, most turtle-type Pokemon get Rapid Spin. It doesn't in Gen 9, at least. It might get it in Gen 8. No, it doesn't get it. It doesn't get Rapid Spin. But to be fair, it's not your Rapid Spin Pokemon. It's a Shell Smash mon. You don't use it for its utility, this thing. You use it for its raw power. Because it's got a lot of raw power. That's the thing that Dreadnought does have in spades. You can make it very fast. It's because it's missing a Snapping Turtle. They don't usually, like, have the... They don't retract as much, usually, because they've got, like, the chomp kind of thing. But yeah, Dreadnought is a very good Pokemon, if you can make it work. You have to be very careful with it, but as I say, it's banned in low ranks of singles for a reason, right? So it's pretty good. I think it also gets crazy things like Head Smash, I believe. Obviously, classic good water moves. It doesn't get Rock Head, I don't think, which is sad. Out of yeah, it gets Strong Jaw, Shell Armor, or Swift Swim. If you're using it on a rain team, you're using Swift Swim. If you're not using it on a rain team, you're still probably using Swift Swim in case your opponent's using a rain team. It's a very, very strong Pokemon. Like, I like running Shell Armor or Strong Jaw. But I don't think I'd ever run it on this Pokemon, unfortunately, because Swift Swim is kind of busted. If rain is a possibility, you probably should run Swift Swim, even if you're not running it. Because just this mob with Shell Smash alone is pretty good. It's fairly slow, but it does the same kind of job that Torterra has, right? You just Shell Smash and smash things to pieces. And then you just rip everything apart. That's just what it does. And it's very good at it. And I do like the look of the G-Max. I think it is a very cool one. It doesn't combo well with G-Max, I don't think. It's kind of like Corviknight in that aspect. It's got, like, a different job. Yeah, like, this thing has a different job to me than a G-Max. I do really like it. It's top of B tier. It is top of B tier. But I'm not really sold as a G-Max Pokemon for me. I think there are better mons to G-Max again than it, but it does have a very good G-Max design. I've got no idea what this thing's unique move is. So I don't fucking know. Unfortunately, once again, Gen 8 has cooler Watermons for me, personally. It actually has cooler Watermons with Swift Swim. I love G-Max Charizard. What can I say? I am biased, but you can't argue it's a really cool design. Okay, Volcanion. I love the look of this thing. G-Max Volcanion's volcano design is very, very cool. It's just unfortunate. As I like Volcanion for design. I think design, it's a very, very cool idea for a Pokemon. Unfortunately, Volcanion is not good. And it's hard to argue with how obviously bad it is. I love Mega Charizard X as well. What are you talking about? Charizard should have been a Dragon type to start with. I'm saying that. I'm stating my statement again. But yeah, Volcanion is cool. It's a fun mon. There's nothing really I can say about it 'cause it's so bad. I'm sure that you can make the G-Max work, right? Because the main problem that Volcanion... No, not Volcanion. Carkol. Colossal, that was it. I've been calling this Volcanion this time. It's not Volcanion. Volcanion is the water-fire type. Colossal is this one. Oh, there is an actual reason it would have been broken. But Gen 1, that didn't matter. Because they didn't care in Gen 1. They were just biased against putting Dragon type on anything in Gen 1. That's the other reason. Balance was not a factor in Gen 1 Pokemon. They can't retroactively make it, because yes, it would be broken. But yeah. There is a way they could have done it, but it had to involve stuff that wasn't in the game yet. So, the way they could have done it, by the way, if anybody's curious, is they could have made Blastoise a rock or ground type. Would have been the way to fix it. Because in every gen, for balance reasons, you need your starter Pokemon to always have a way to super effective... Oh, no, there is an Ice-Fire type. There is one Ice-Fire type. It is Galarian Damanitan Zen mode is Ice-Fire type. Ice-Poison, there isn't any yet, though. Which I'm hoping we get one for the next gen. I'm going to be honest. I'm hoping we get one in Legends EA. Hey, it's still a thing. You have to count it because it does exist. Even if it barely counts, it still counts. You got to account for that. You've always got to account for things like that. It does exist. Even if it's rare, it does exist. Yeah, Colossal. You've got double quad weakness, buddy. You've got a great design, though, so you're getting up for that. I'll put you in B tier because you have a great design. The volcano, it looks good. It just sucks. The apples! These are really weird. So, Applin, Gmax, actually it's Gmax Flapple and Gmax Appleton, right? They have the distinct problem that neither one is a crazy good Pokemon. You can definitely make both of them work. Like, I actually, if memory serves, I actually beat the shit out of someone last week with Appleton because it just tanked. And Flapple, I have made Flapple work. You have to make it work a very specific way. Give it wide lens. Trust me, give Flapple wide lens. But you can definitely make them both work. But the G-Maxes are exactly the same, which does lose them some points for me, unfortunately. I don't think that either one is a bad design. But it does lose points for not changing between the two. I have to give them both together because they're the same fucking design. They have different stats because obviously they're different Pokemon, but I'm not sold on either one, right? Sandaconda, people shit on this Pokemon as well. I like Gmax Sandaconda. I think Gmax Sandaconda is a great design. They were going for the natural disaster route. They went for the giant sand tornado, right? I like that as a vibe. I know a lot of people don't. I do genuinely think this is cool. I don't think it's particularly good, and it's not the most memorable, but I think it's a good design. Like, you can't argue that. And also, it's a tanky Mon. It's not very good because it's tanky, but I do genuinely think that there should be some tanky Mons that are designed to be tanky in the G-Maxes, because sometimes you just want to make a brick wall, which is fair. Gigantimax Toxtricity. Now, I've talked about this before. I don't really like Toxtricity as a Pokemon, right? I know a lot of people love it. I'm not sold. It's there. It is a Pokemon that exists. I know a lot of people that love the thing. I'm not really sold. Now, I will say, though, Gigantimax Toxtricity, as anybody who saw my electric video, is a very, very good design. I kind of wish Toxtricity looks like this generally, with the all fours kind of vibe, like the more electrical powered look. I think this one is great. This is a Pokemon, to me, that needed the G-Max. I don't think it's very interesting outside of the G-Max. Inside of the G-Max, though, it is great. And I love its Gigantamax move. I don't know what it's called, but I know it's Gigantamax move. It pulls out a giant lightning guitar and just slams the ground with it. That is a cool Pokemon. So, yeah, props. G-Max Centiskorch. G-Max Centiskorch is interesting. What it basically is, I think, the biggest G-Max Pokemon. It's definitely one of them. Because it's really, really long. It's like, it looks kind of like Rainbow Road. And how it attacks is it basically turns all of it's basically just built out of cannons, each segment of it. So it just fires its move, like it turns into like a big segment and then fires its G-Max moves up. Which is a cool vibe. And I do think that Centiskorch is an objectively very cool Pokemon. I actually want it to get an evolved form. I think it needs something like Duraludon does, where it needs another evolution to make it cool again, but I don't think it was in Gen 9, so that's the main reason I think it hasn't got one. But if this Pokemon comes back, I hope it gets an evolved form, because, like Duraludon, it's not very good without its G-Max. So, yeah. I don't even know if this thing's particularly good with G-Max either, but I know it needed the G-Max. So, I think it's quite a cool design, so I'm going to give it another B tier. I think that's a deserving B tier. It's fine. Okay, Hatterini. People know I love Hatterini. I am a big fan of... I'm honestly a big fan of Psychic Fairy type Pokemon in general. They are a really cool one. And the Hat and Gardevoir have always been, like, comparable Pokemon to me. They fill similar roles, but do it in different ways. Gardevoir does, is basically fast, psychic, fairy type. Whereas Hatterene is tanky, psychic fairy type. But they have the same kind of vibe. If you want slower, with a better ability, you take Hatterene. If you want fast, with some interesting utility, and some weird, like, shenanigans that you can do, you take Gardevoir. But they're both very comparable to me, and I really like both of them. Hatterene, when I eventually do get around to playing Sword and Shield, you bet your ass Hatterene's going to be on the team. I love this thing. It's an S tier G-Max as well. It is gigantic. I like the huge witch hat she gets, and the massive dress. It's a great design, and I really like it. So, S tier for me, just behind Lapras. Now, I will say I prefer Hatterene to Lapras as a Pokemon, but the G-Max Lapras just, it really does hit. So, yeah. G-Max Grimmsnarl, Marnie's G-Max Pokemon. It's great. I'm going to be honest. Grimmsnarl is a well-designed Pokemon just outright. Like the big hair hulking monster. It's a cool Pokemon. It's very good as well. Obviously, Prankster. It actually has good stats just generally, so it's very fighty if you want to build it that way. Which nobody expects, by the way. People can get caught off guard if you play offensive Grimmsnarl. People don't expect it. So I recommend giving it a try sometime. How I'd build it would be Crunch, Play Rough, Bulk Up, and Sucker Punch, probably, for the moveset. Max Health, Max Attack, Adamant Nature. Do some bulk ups with Prankster to get the tankiness out there, and then just start smashing into things with, say, Sucker Punch or stuff like that. Like, it's a tanky Pokemon, which people really underestimate just how good it is on the offense, because everybody builds it purely defensive, statusy mod, right? Or you give it Fake Out if you want as well. Like, you can, there's a lot of ways to build it, which are very good. And the Demon Lord form for G-Max kind of slaps as well. So yeah, it is an S tier mod. I'd say behind Eevee, but above Kingler. I really, really like G-Max Grimmsnarl's look, because it just is very tall, like regal Demon Lord looking, which I really like. Gigantamax Alcremie, the ice cream cake itself. So there's actually a funny bit. Me and a bunch of friends were chatting about G-Maxes ages ago. We actually calculated how, because it says how many kilocalories are in one of the, like, cake missiles from this Pokemon. Because, yeah, this Pokemon fires cake missiles at people. And it has, like, a few 100,000, I can't remember the exact number, like, millions of kilocalories of energy in each one. Basically, you take one bite, you'll drop dead, right? We actually did a calculation on how many tons of TNT is in each missile in the amount of energy. So there is actually a way you can calculate it. I don't remember exact maths, but it came out to something like 1.8 tons of TNT per missile. So it would kill you, not through calories, but through explosive force. You would actually die to the cake, which is pretty funny, and I do like it. I think Alcremie is adorable, and I love the idea of a giant cake. I'm gonna be honest, a giant cake Pokemon. I'm gonna be honest. So yeah, S tier, lower S tier, but still S tier. Right, now we get to some controversial Pokemon. Gigantamax Copperajah. Now, Copperajah has two things, which I want to talk about here. So, GX Copperajah made Copperajah actually quite good, right? For one reason. Its G-Max move, I believe, was called something like Gigantamax Steel Spike, which was its unique one. This is one of the few I do know the unique move for. And G-Max Steel Spike, what it basically did was it set up Steel Stealth Rocks, right? That was its unique thing. So it was Stealth Rock, but it affected things in the way of Steel types. So everyone was like, oh, so when it comes to Gen 9, they'll give Copperajah a unique move, which is Steel Stealth Rock. They didn't. They really need to, because Copperajah is a fun mon, but it's kind of shit. It's got a few things going for it. Like, it's got very high attack, good health. It's got no defense. Pure Steel type's a fine type, but it's not that good. If it had Steel Stealth Rocks, it would actually have a way to be kind of unique. That I think would do very well. And the second problem I have with G-Max Copperajah is it doesn't look good. The trunk is fine, but the body is just, It's a door. It's a giant door. It turns flat. It turns the elephant into like a freaking lift door. I don't like it very much. I'm sorry, Copperaja. You're in D tier. I like Copperaja the Pokemon. I want to point this out. I love the giant metal elephant. But your G-Max doesn't have a good design, and because of your G-Max's uniqueness, they haven't given you back the uniqueness. So, please give Copperaja back Steel Stealth Rock. It would be cool. Give it only to it. Like, make it be its signature move. I think it would be very fun. I'm not even a Hazards guy, and I think it'd be very fun. You need to give it something, guys. Come on. So, yeah, that's my thought on Copperaja. Okay, G-Max Duraludon. Now, there's a reason. So, Duraludon, for reference, is not the pseudo-legendary of Gen 8. A lot of people think it is because it obviously appears in the story. No, the pseudo-legendary from Gen 8 is Dragapult, and people forget that. Dragapult, terrifying Pokemon, right? Crazy, crazy good one. Super fast, hits pretty hard. It's just good. Best physical dragon move in the game if you have one with no downsides. Or I guess the downside would be it hits 2 targets in a double battle instead of 1. Which could be an upgrade, but it's 2 single target attacks. You'll figure it out. But the bit with G-Max Duraludon, let's face it, G-Max Duraludon, you have a terrible design. The building, I get what they were going for, and I know that apparently it was quite good. I think it's Max Depletion was its one, which was apparently quite a good move. I don't remember what it did. But they removed Gigantamax, and suddenly Duraludon is bad, right? Duraludon was a bad Pokemon without its G-Max, because G-Max was the only thing that really made it special. Because otherwise it was just a fairly mediocre to bad physical wall steel dragon. Like, it's a steel dragon type, so it had a good typing, but it had no special defense at all. So it couldn't really use its durability well, and it didn't hit particularly hard either, because it had okay physical attack and okay special attack, and quite good physical defense and okay health, but it was all that. It was okay at most things and slow. But the biggest crime, Duraludon has some of the worst abilities in Pokemon. So, reference, Duraludon had its unique ability, which was useless in singles, which was your attacks can't be redirected, which has a use in doubles. I will say, it's an okay ability in doubles. Nothing particularly special, though. So it's immune to, like, follow me and stuff. So it has a purpose, but it's useless it's useless if you're not playing double battles. And it's okay in double battles. Like, there's times it's going to be clutch, 90% of the time it's useless. But it's just not got good stats. It was pretty bad. But because G-Max Duraludon was the only thing that made Duraludon interesting, in Gen 9 they went, well, we can't have the ace Pokemon for a Dragon Gym be bad. So what are we going to do about it? We're going to make this thing broken. So what they did, they took Duraludon and gave it a pseudo-legendary class evolution called Archaludon, the bridge himself. A absolute beast of a Pokemon. One of the strongest Pokemon ever made. And I believe Duraludon is, because of that, because it was never intended to have an evolution, I believe Duraludon is the strongest Pokemon, the strongest base stage Pokemon ever in terms of stats. It is a 530 base stat total baseline Pokemon. Right? And to prove how pretty bad Duraludon was, Duraludon could get Eviolite now. Yeah, for reference, 530 is a higher base stat total than Venusaur. Or most of the starters. Like, it is outclassed by the top tier, like, fire starters and Swampert, which has its own, like, privilege. But it's still comparable to those in terms of stats. Its stats just weren't in the right places. But then it got Evioliteable. And it's already a tanky Pokemon, and they gave it Eviolite. And it was banned preemptively in Baby Cup, for reference, because it would technically have been legal for Baby Cup. It was then banned from Baby Cup. Before the evolution came out. because they knew what would happen. But then they did realize this. Duraludon, even with Eviolite, is still not very good. It's okay, it's usable if you give it Eviolite, because it is a brick wall. It is very tough. Unfortunately, its abilities still suck. It's just not very good. So, yeah, Duraludon, unfortunately, not a very good Pokemon. Archaludon is insane, and I absolutely love it. And I love the design of base Duraludon. But G-Max Duraludon has a shite design. The only positive thing I can give G-Max Duraludon at all is that it is the reason why Archaludon exists. And I love Archaludon. So, that's the only positive. Meaning that it goes here. Because it has one thing going for it that I do like. And it's a Dragon type, which gets... Dragon type and Steel type gets privilege. But I don't like its design. I really don't. I never have done. Yeah, it's just kind of... But then we got Archaludon, and Archaludon's great, so I love it. Also, Archaludon got one of my favorite abilities in Pokemon, Stamina, which is big. That's the big thing. When it comes to Archaludon, all they did was basically slightly up its stats, give it a different signature move, better move access, and they changed its ability to a good ability rather than something that literally does nothing. For reference, it's, again, the base abilities of Duraludon are light metal and heavy metal. One increases its weight, one lowers its weight. That almost never matters. So yeah, Stamina though, amazing ability. Okay, now for the unfair bears. I'm gonna be honest, let's just get one thing out of the way. Urshifu is a objectively cool Pokemon. But it's massively overtuned. They are broken, for a good reason. They just are. By design, they are busted. A lot of people have way more trouble with this Pokemon than I have ever done. I have lost a match to an Urshifu. I will outright state that. It's a very, very good Pokemon. Yeah, it's a very overpowered Pokemon. Through a various combination of factors. It's a crazy strong Pokemon with Garchomp level... It's got Garchomp level attack stat. It's a bit slower. But it's got decent typings in both its cases. And it's got auto-critting moves, right? But I will give you this as the points for them. Oh, also they ignore Protect, which is crazy good in actual competitive Pokemon. I will say this as a neat thing. I think one of the Urshifus is a bigger offender than the other. And I will state that, and I've told this before. Dark Fighting Urshifu, so Single Strike Urshifu, there is nothing wrong with it. I will say that. There is nothing wrong with Urshifu Single Strike. It's very powerful, don't get me wrong. But it's got the thing that any Pokemon that is kind of busted needs to be balanced. A quad weakness. It is a fighting dark type, so it just gets annihilated by Fairy. Every Pokemon that's that level overtuned broken bullshit needs a quad weakness or some obvious negative. Right? So take something like Ursaluna. Ursaluna, terrifying Pokemon, right? Absolute nightmare. What's its big weakness? It's very slow. You can make it work with Trick Room, but then you're making the whole Trick Room team, and that's a thing you should be encouraged to do. You're taking a negative and turning it into a strength. That's a good thing. Urshifu is good in a vacuum. Is broken in a vacuum. So you need something like a very obvious counter. And the obvious counter is a powerful fairy move. It'll die. It will. You're probably scarfing or banding it. But Single Strike Urshifu will go down in one hit to a heavy fairy move, right? Like, take a Moonblast from a Gardevoir. Or something along those lines, right? A Play Rough from a Grimmsnarl. Something is going to down the Urshifu. Quite easily. Exactly. There are powerful fairy moves. That is how you can deal with a Single Strike Urshifu. It's fine. It's fairly sturdy. but it's not bulky enough to tank a quad effective hit from something that's pretty good in its own right. It's got a good chance of killing whatever is going to hit it with Wicked Blow, but it's not guaranteed. And particularly when you've got something like Grimmsnarl, which is definitely capable of tanking the hit because it's quad resist to Wicked Blow, even with the auto crit, you're pretty safe. So, Gmax Urshifu, single strike. I'm going to put you around here. I think it's a cool Pokemon. I think Urshifu is a good design. It's broken as shit, but it's got a good design. And single strike Urshifu, yeah, it's good. It's got the weakness. The problem they made is they also made the water version, Rapid Strike Urshifu. Now, Rapid Strike Urshifu is the really busted one, right? It's the insanely broken one because it doesn't have the same weakness. It, in fact, is even stronger because unlike Urshifu Single Strike, which is one really powerful dark hit, right? One massively powerful crit dark hit, which is going to do a shitload of damage. But it's a classic. It's single hit. There's ways around it. Focus Sash, right? You can't do that with Rapid Strike because it hits 3 times, all of which are crits, and it's Water type. Water type is a lot harder to resist than Dark. Yeah. This thing is broken. It is. If they are ever tuning Urshifu, they need to tune Rapid Strike more than Single Strike. And I do think they will. I think that eventually they'll tune it. Because it's busted. I won't give it a D tier. Because being a broken Pokemon isn't D tier. But it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, Rapid Strike. So it detracts massively from its overall score. Because, again, I don't like the vibe. I don't like the vibe of something that obscenely unfair, I will say. There's definitely ways to work around it, but... And the one I've definitely gone up against more is Rapid Strike. So I know how this thing works. I know how to beat it, and I know how you lose to it. It's... You have to objectively be able to deal with it. If you can't deal with it, you're fucked. And the problem is, because this thing is quite tanky, it's likely to survive even a super effective hit because it's not got the quad weakness that Single Strike has. Single Strike, I don't think has any problems with it. I think it should get nerfed because Rapid Strike should get nerfed, and they should be equal in power. Yeah. So yeah, Rapid Strike leaves a bit of a bad taste in the mouth. So... that's all we've done. We have done the Gmax Pokemon. As I said, it was going to be a bit shorter because there's not as many Gmax Pokemon, and there's not as much to say about the Gmax as compared to the Megas. The Megas are a much more interesting overall thing. I like Gmax, and I do kind of hope we get a gimmick with it again at some point. But it's kind of busted, and we all know it's kind of busted. So it's the gimmick it's one of the 2 gimmicks I wouldn't be surprised if we never got back. I'll put it that way. The other one being Z-moves. Oh, every legendary? I might. I'm thinking of ideas for more tier lists, so I could do every legendary. I'd probably be down for that. I'm doing every starters one as well. I've got options. I definitely got some more options. So yeah. That is all we got for today. So remember, everybody, do tune in tomorrow where I will be GMing a Dark Heresy one-shot for Bob from twitch.tv/dragon. I could do mythicals in it as well. I'm not really sure. Twitch.tv/dragon Bob is going to be in it. Twitch.tv/NixieNax is going to be in it. And Davey is going to be in it. Not associated with any Twitch channel, Davey. But yeah, we should have a good time tomorrow. It should be a lot of fun. Starting around 6 PM as usual. Yeah, Nix is going to be in it. So yeah, it should be a good time. So I do hope you all check it out. It should be a lot of fun tomorrow. And yeah, I am going to go and rest my voice and prep for it. So it should be a damn good time. I'm very much looking forward to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Have a fantastic evening. Every single one of you. Keep playing video games. Keep being awesome, you guys. Oh, the best way is to Twitch. Enjoy yourselves, guys. Have a lovely time and a fantastic evening. See you tomorrow. Good night. See ya.